we have to talk about the film Stuck. And we are here with the director, Jenni, the director, the writer-director of this working project. All I can say is it's a very interesting film, and one of the things I really learned is if I thought I knew women, I definitely don't now.
All right, good.
Yeah, I'm even more confused. I know you talked about in the roundtable the other day that you've got these different women, different places in their life, trying to tell this overall story, and you're popping in and out and stuff. I get that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I kind of looked at it as maybe it's the same person at different stages in their life.
I'm leaving that to whom the watcher. I can tell you that when I wrote it, all of the characters were different, and they were people that she knew or had heard about.
Right.
And that each of them represents a piece of her or something she's struggling with.
Right.
So in a way, they're the same. Yeah, it's both.
Well, I understand what you're talking about now after seeing the end and then seeing all of these different people and then going back to it and trying to remember, the beginning of the film and stuff. That was what I took away from it with the old woman at the end. And I'm definitely don't want to give away spoilers in this interview because I think everybody should enjoy and then this film have lots of questions. Mm-hmm. But I just saw it as this is different, but that's the same person somehow. Mm-hmm. Or different personalities or whatever. And we could definitely go into a huge mind trip in that discussion.
Yeah.
So I don't have that much on the SD card for that discussion.
Okay.
So now, how did you first conceive this idea?
In 2001, my first grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I was really curious as to what was going on in her mind. And rather than trying to fight the Alzheimer's, I kind of went in there and said, okay, what is happening here?
Right.
And that's what brought the concept to life. But then the thing that brought the characters to life was I've been living in New Jersey, and I went to the Garden State Mall, which is kind of like, for me, it's this huge, huge mall. And I happened to be sitting and watching a woman across the way. She was a waitress at the Johnny Rockets, singing happy birthday to somebody, and she had rhinestone barrettes in her hair. And that is when Franny was born.
Right.
And after that, the rest of the characters just kind of came to live with us. Yeah, so it was scripted in pieces at first. Like some of the storylines would come out for me for each character, and then I figured out how to blend them. And really that took years. We did several workshops. And then after 2005, when we had kind of our false start is what I'm going to call it,
right.
Our false start, and I put the film away. Years later, I would just kind of keep coming back to it and taking it apart and kind of putting it back together. And the most recent version of that was right before we were in production in 2016, when I pulled an entire character out. And what amazing thing that happened was the entire script just fell together. I thought, I'm going to pull this character out and there's going to be something missing. I'm going to have to do all these rewrites. And it just flowed right through. And I was like, well, I guess that was the right thing to do. How sad I was, but yeah.
I know you talked about that before, and now I'm very intrigued about what this character that's not in there, what that original...
Maybe I should have that come back someday.
I know. This is the short film, we did a podcast this morning talking about all the other Oscar-worthy roles of Gary Oldman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the other times he should have gotten an Oscar, but one of the things we talked about too is there's little short films that he's been a part of that help explain bigger films like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, where you kind of need these little things to help explain the story more without making it this 3-hour movie. And that is maybe what you do with this other character.
Yeah.
Just keep dropping, this is what it is, little short films. This is what YouTube was invented for.
Little bits.
Yeah.
And
now my own interpretation, without knowing anything about this character, getting back to manifestations of personalities and everything, like I feel strongly personally that the drug addicted ballerina is the manifestation of the child that the other woman gave up.
Okay.
That's how I saw it.
All right.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm pulling that out from a psych class I took in college. I'm like, it's a manifestation of somehow. This is like some kind of Freudian interpretation of dreams. I don't know. Like I said, that's what I took from it. You do talk about that there are people that the old woman has heard of or different parts of her personality. Are you purposely doing that, or are you just throwing stuff out there to be ambiguous and letting the audience decide?
Well, everything that I did was purposeful.
Okay.
Now, whatever else happened during the shoot or the edit, I don't know. Or whatever happened in your head, I don't have any control of that. But I can tell you one of the things that was purposeful, like, so if she had known them directly, like we spent a lot of time with Franny.
Right.
Because she was very good friends with her. But if she had heard about them, like the husbands, we never really see their faces.
Right.
And they're actually played by the same actor.
Yeah.
You know, because she has no real face or personality to put with that person, just things that she heard from her friend. So those kinds of things are built into there purposefully.
I noticed that everybody in this film is broken somehow. And they kind of snipe at each other about somebody else's level of brokenness to try to cover up for how broken they are. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of purposeful, or is that just, that's common among humanity, so that's why we're having it in this film?
I think that is, you know, I think that comes from a place where I was at, feeling very broken and only knowing how to relate to people in that way. So every interaction was kind of a broken interaction. No matter how much love was there,
right, there
was a rift. And the only way I knew how to use language was in kind of a negative or sarcastic way. And it's interesting now that I have this film out, because I have changed so much of that in my life to where my language is different. My thinking, I've been working on my thinking so that it's more positive, so that I have more healthy, loving relationships with people. This is definitely a representation of that, like, kind of negative, toxic thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting how writing can be that great catharsis for what you're dealing with in your life.
It is, and I guess it took me 18 years to work through it, right?
Right. Well, you know, Graham Greene said that writing is a form of therapy, so there you have it.
And it's funny that you say that, because I have another script, and it's called Broken. The E is taken out. And it's based around a broken chord, but of course broken people.
Right.
So I had never thought of Stuck as broken as well.
Like I said, I'm trying to make my professors in college proud. I took a few courses where you're really studying metaphor and Franny is interesting. Don't get me wrong. I like how the only thing that they talk about her being this country star, being really good, but the only time you kind of see it is in the format of karaoke, which is always not the best representation of to hear someone's voice. Again, is that kind of accidental, or do you want to build her story where it's everybody else talking about her? It's not her perspective, but it's everybody else's perspective of her.
It's kind of a combination of both. So with Franny, she'd been hiding so much, and she's trying to put all this away.
Right.
And the way that I find that we discover most of Franny is people are talking about her, and we see the photographs on the wall at her mother's house. So we have the magazine covers and everything. And so that was purposeful, because she has no voice to speak herself. Yes, did I answer that question?
I think you did.
Okay.
I'm Alex Warren, on behalf of That Nerd Show. We're at the 2019 Women's Texas Film Festival talking with Jenni Tooley about the film Stuck.
Yes!
So right off the bat, with this film, is this sort of about, how we get stuck and, and
Stuck? Yeah, how we get stuck? Yes, it is, absolutely. Essentially, it's about what it's like to be in the mind of somebody who is not quite got their mind together right now, and we're getting stuck in patterns in their mind because it has to do with Alzheimer's. Don't tell anybody. So we're stuck in somebody's mind, and everybody who's stuck in the mind with us is stuck somewhere in their life as well and can't quite get to the next place. Which is also interesting because it took me 20 years to make the movie, so we were stuck too.
Now, just out of curiosity, did you feel like this experience would be unique for each person when they would see this?
Absolutely. I try not to tell people what to think about the movie, even when they ask me afterwards, is this supposed to mean that, or was that that, or was that that? I'm like, well, what did you think? That really frustrates people because they want answers, and I have found that my film does not give the answers to the people that they want, so they either walk out going, or they walk out going, I hated that movie.
So, aside from those kind of responses, what were some of the other more specific responses that you got from people after seeing this?
Oh man, I've had some great things I did not expect. I had one young woman walk up to me and share with me that her grandmother had been put in a memory lane that day and that this film was really meaningful to her. I had another woman who's in her 70s recently. She saw the film in February as a work in progress, and like last week, which is now August, she said, Jenni, I wanted you to know I have a friend that has Alzheimer's. I wasn't familiar with how it all worked, and I get really frustrated with her, and I stop and I think, it's okay. I'm in the movie. I'm just in the movie. And she said that it really has helped her soften her perspective so she can be there for her friend. It is amazing. And other people have been like, it's a roller coaster. I wanted to throw up. I thought I was on drugs. Yeah.
But it's a purely benign drug, so
Purely benign drugs. Right. Exactly. You can go to my movie and you can feel like you are on drugs without actually taking drugs.
Okay, so since we are That Nerd Show, we have a nerdy question that we're asking everybody.
Okay.
If you had a weapon of choice or a superpower to fight against the forces of evil, what would it be?
Love. And I say that sincerely. It's been hard for me to embrace that, but the more love I can have for myself and that I can share with people, the more it spreads to people. And I think in the world that we have right now, it's really hard to be in this world. People are sad and they're angry and they're mad at each other. So like my superpower would be love.
That's wonderful. I love it. Great answer. Okay, Jenni Tooley, it was wonderful talking with you. Congratulations and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.